Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Faik, Assistant Professor Neurosurgery. Today, actually, we will discuss the clinical aspect of head injury. The clinical aspect. We have previously discussed the different aspects of head injury as far as the general knowledge of head injury is concerned. But about the clinical aspect, we have to know the different clinical examination as well as the procedures which we usually perform and investigation which usually we send in emergency department when we receive a patient of head injury. So as a clinician and as a neurosurgeon, if we receive a polytrauma patient, so it's our responsibility to evaluate the patient as early as possible, and after evaluation, then it is necessary to send the important investigation, like for example CT scans or different scans. And after these scans, we have to transfer the patient to OR, that is operation theater, as soon as possible. So in a nutshell, if I describe what are the responsibility of a neurosurgeon or a trauma surgeon, so it is actually we have to assess the patient in a quicker way as compared to the other patient which we receive in emergency department. The patient of head injury or spinal injury needs urgent neurosurgical attention. So we have to attend the patient as soon as possible, following the patient is arrived in emergency department, and a rapid history and rapid examination is mandatory. And after the examination, a relevant investigation and the management plan. So it is a nutshell. So first we will start in a traditional way, thus few general information head injury, and then we will see the clinical aspect. So as we all know, head injury is very common, and 10 to 15% of head injury admission per year usually we see. And the different causes of head injury you people already know. That road traffic accident, which is also called as motor vehicle accident, is the leading cause of head injury, followed by fall from height, history of asthma, firearm injury or sports related injuries are the major causes of head injury. You people already know. So we will not waste our time in the general knowledge of head injury, but we will stress on the clinical aspect. Like, you people receive a patient of head injury. So after receiving of head injury, what we will do? So we will uh, concentrate on the clinical aspect rather than the general knowledge of head injury. You people already know the general knowledge and general aspect. We have already discussed these in the lecture classes. So as far as the clinical aspects are concerned, we will focus on the clinical aspects, like you have received a patient of head injury in emergency department, and later on how will we proceed. So causes you people already know, biomechanics you people already know. There is an aspect of impact of force, and which is associated with rapid acceleration and deceleration. So deceleration, acceleration, and force of impact are the different biomechanics uh, which are related with the head injury mechanisms. So I will not go into the details of the classification of head injury, except few important things, that in close head injury, usually there are important signs, like for example raccoon eyes, like for example battle sign, like for example ENT bleed. So there are few important signs on the face of the patient. So when you assess a patient of head injury, these signs are very important. We will see later on. And as far as the severity is concerned, we usually divide the patient of head injury into mild, moderate, and severe according to the GCS. So in primary problem. So you people already know because of the impact of force, the, the this is called as primary head injury because of the impact. And after sustaining the primary head injury, patient may develop hypoxia, hypotension, brain edema, and these things are called as the consequences of secondary brain injury. I repeat, because of the impact or because of the sudden force, the deformation is called as primary head injury because of the impact. And after the impact, the patient may develop brain edema, hypoxia, hypotension, hypoglycemia, and these things are called as secondary brain injury. So the patients of head injury are admitted in neurosurgery ward. Sorry, to manage secondary brain injuries. I, as far as the primary brain injury is concerned, only the law enforcement agencies can enforce different rules and regulations to prevent primary brain injury. So primary brain injury can only be prevented. Neurosurgeons are not supposed to prevent primary brain injuries. Law enforcement agencies are supposed to enforce rules, regulation, like for example, helmet, like for example, traffic rules. These are the rules and regulation which law enforcement agencies are supposed to enforce to prevent the head injury, primary brain head injury. But after sustaining a primary brain injury, now you receive the patient in emergency department. So patient is in front of you, and you as a neurosurgeon are supposed to manage secondary brain injury. Like for example, you have to manage brain edema, like you have to manage hypoxia, hypotension, and so on. So as you can see in this picture, that this guy has sustained a closed brain injury, closed head injury. There is no penetration, there is no penetrating wound by a knife or by a nail or by a bullet. There is no mark like this. So it is a closed head injury, and raccoon eye is also there, which is a sign of skull base fracture, mainly in the frontal region. So in this picture, we can see there is a penetrating wound in the frontal region. So it is an example of fracture. So here in this picture, you can see a region of depressed skull. It is called as a depressed skull fracture. It is a linear fracture, while this is a compound skull fracture. So you people already know. I will not take your time. So in as far as the severity of head injury is concerned, the mild head injury is called as the patient in which the GCS lies between 30 to 15, and moderate head injury is called as the patient if GCS lies between 9 to 12, and below 8 the head injury is categorized in severe head injury. So the most important slide is, now you are called in emergency department to see a patient of head injury. So if you are in emergency department to see a patient of head injury, the the most important thing is the history, and after history, examination. So this history of head injury is a different as compared to the history. Sorry, it is a completely a different type of history, which usually we get as compared to the history of a patient of medicine. So a patient of polytrauma, you are not supposed to get a detailed history. The history is very, very short and very, very pinpoint, very, very targeted. So in a patient of head injury or a polytrauma patient, if a patient is in emergency department and a neurosurgeon is called to evaluate the patient. So the history is very short, very concise, and very targeted. So in this history, we are interested in the mechanism. So in mechanism, you already know what uh, are the different mechanism. It may be motor vehicle accident, it could be history of fall from height, it could be a history of assault, firearm injury, like this. So if the patient is conscious, or if the patient is accompanied by his friends or the other colleagues which can give history, okay, you can ask the mechanism from them. But if the patient is alone, brought by ED or CHIPA like this, so and the patient is unconscious, scenario, mechanism is unknown. You can mark question mark in front of the mechanism, and then you are supposed to jump to the next question. So mechanism, if it is known, write down the mechanism in front of mechanism. Firearm injury or history of fall from height, history of assault in front of mechanism. If it is unknown, mark a question over here in front of mechanism and jump to the next question. LOC, loss of consciousness. Loss of consciousness, either it is positive or it is negative. Post-traumatic amnesia. Post-traumatic amnesia. If it is positive or it could be negative, write down in front of post-traumatic amnesia. Or if it is unknown, you can mark unknown. Symptoms of raised ICP, like for example, headache, severe headache, vomiting, like this. History of its plus minus, ENT bleed, again plus minus. So you are called in emergency department to evaluate a patient of head injury or a polytrauma. So get the concise history as soon as possible, within a minute. Within a minute, you are supposed to get the whole history, like mechanism, loss of consciousness, post-traumatic amnesia, whether the symptoms of raised ICP are there, whether there is a history of fits or not, or whether there is ENT bleed or not. You are not concerned with the patient's name. You are not you are not address. You are not concerned with these type of information which usually we get in a patient of OPD in a clinic. But if a patient is in emergency department with a history of road traffic accident, motor vehicle accident, like this, so in a polytrauma patient, the history is very concise. So history is very concise, and you are supposed to get the relevant information. And if the patient is unconscious and the patient is not able to give you the accurate information, just jump to the next question, marking a question mark over in front of the relevant point. and jump to the next question. So after getting a very concise history, targeted history, you are supposed to examine your patient again in a very quicker, in a very targeted way. So as you people already know that any patient of polytrauma, any patient of polytrauma, we start with ATLS protocol. ATLS protocol. And you people already know that we start with airway, then breathing, then circulation, then deformity, neurological disability, which is also called in neurological disability, and then exposure. So if you are dealing a patient of head injury, you are dealing with patient of head injury, and a head injury patient could be a case of polytrauma. So you start with ABCD, airway, you check the airway, then you check whether the breathing is bilateral, and then you check the circulation, and then neurological disability. This fourth point, that is the neurological disability, is concerned with neurosurgeon. Neurological disability, D, that's neurological disability. You have to examine the patient GCS, patient pupils, and lateralizing sign. You know, this thing, this point, you people already know that in ABCD airway, how to check the airway, how to check the breathing, how to check the circulation, you people already know. The fourth point is D, that is neurological disability. D, neurological disability, in which you are supposed to examine the patient GCS, lateralizing sign, and pupil in D, and then exposure your pupil already. So in GCS, you examine the patient GCS, rapid, and local examination is very important. Local examination is very important. You are supposed to examine the patient's head. You are supposed to wear the gloves, and then you are supposed to examine the wound thoroughly and write down all the findings of the wound, whether it is there is a laceration, whether there is ecchymosis, whether there is abrasion, there is laceration, or there is an avulsion, the avulsion and bone is exposed, like for example penetrating wound, like for example brain matter, like for example CSF leakage, like for example rapid leak, like for example blood is oozing. So these are all the findings of local examination of wound. You must have to remove the dressing, which usually dressing is applied in any basic health unit. If a patient after head injury is shifted to some local hospital, they usually, what they people do, they usually apply a dressing. So in and after the applying the dressing, the patient is shifted to tertiary care hospital or a trauma center. So in a trauma center, when you are called to evaluate this patient, so you are supposed to examine the wound, and to examine the wound properly, you are supposed to remove the dressing which has been applied in some smaller or basic health unit like this. So after removing the crepe bandage or a dressing, what is there, whatever has been applied on the head, you are supposed to remove the dressing. And after removing the dressing with glove on your hand, you have to examine the wound with your fingers and write down the findings properly. I repeat, what could be the findings? There could be an abrasion, laceration, avulsion of the scalp. You may see the exposed bone, skull, that is. You may observe the CSF is coming out of wound, or blood coming out of wound. There is a big large hematoma, swelling, or there could be brain coming out of wound, or there may be a penetrating wound. caused by firearm injury. There is an entry wound and exit wound. So these are the findings which usually you see when you examine the wound. This is called a local examination of wound, which is one of the most important examination when you see the patient in emergency department. There is no excuse to forget the local examination of wound. There is no excuse. You must have to examine the local examination. You must have to examine the the wound. Okay. After examining the wound, examination of pupil and its response. Examination of pupil, the size of the pupil and its response to the light. And I tell you, the most important findings of pupil is anisocoria. Anisocoria. Anisocoria means unequal pupil. One pupil is normal, other pupil is large. So unequal pupil, that is anisocoria, is is the hallmark feature, is the most important finding in a patient of head injury, which gives you the indication that a hematoma or some pressure is being applied on third nerve. And most probably in a patient of head injury, the mass lesion is nothing but a hematoma. It could be a subdural hematoma, extradural hematoma, or a large intracerebral hematoma, or a contusion could be there. So some sort of hematoma, if it is there and it is causing a pressure effect on third nerve, so the patient present with anisocoria, and the side on which the third nerve is compressed, on that side it is large. So when you see the patient of unequal pupil in a patient in a setting of head injury, I repeat, in a setting of head injury, when you see the patient and the patient pupil is unequal, this is called as anisocoria, and the differential diagnoses are extradural hematoma, subdural hematoma, contusion, intracerebral hemorrhage, and all these things can compress third nerve, resulting in ipsilateral dilatation of pupil. Ipsilateral dilatation of pupil, which is also generally called as an anisocoria. And you are supposed to examine the the whether the signs of skull base fracture or not. You people already know what are the different signs of skull base fracture. I repeat, the signs of skull base fracture are Raccoon eyes, battle sign, bleeding from nose, bleeding from mouth, ENT bleed, which we usually use the term of ENT bleed, and CSF otorrhea or CSF rhinorrhea. So these are the signs of skull base fracture. And then at the end, you are supposed to examine your patient briefly. Brief neurological examination is mandated. So you people know that a complete neurological examination needs a lot of time, but in a setting of polytrauma patient, you are supposed to examine your patient thoroughly as far as neurological examination is concerned. So brief neurological examination is required. Brief neurological examination. Brief neurological examination. You ask few questions to evaluate whether the patient is speaking, whether the patient can speak. So what are the way you ask the patient the and after that you can ask what happened at that time. So that patient you can evaluate the patient can or the patient is still unconscious. So next you can ask about the patient is conscious or not. You can ask any uh, question related with the incidence of trauma, and after that you can ask the patient to please examine your finger, or show me your tongue, or uh, move your toes. So these are the questions usually you ask whenever you examine your patient in a brief neurological examination. You ask few questions: what is your name at that time, uh, and show me your tongue, squeeze my finger, toes. So this is the brief neurological examination. So I repeat, when after getting a history of head injury, you are supposed to examine your patient thoroughly. You start with A, B, C, D, E according to ATLS protocol. Airway is patent. If the patient is speaking, if the patient can speak, if the patient is telling his name, so it means airway is intact. Number two, after breathing and circulation, you have to assess the patient GCS. And you people know that if the GCS is below 8, at GCS below 8, patient cannot, um in this patient, we usually pass ETT tube below 8 GCS. And local examination of wound is very important. The pupil size and its response is again very important. I told you that anisocoria is the most important finding while you examine the patient's pupil and its response. The signs of skull base fracture: raccoon eyes, CSF otorrhea, CSF rhinorrhea, bleeding, ENT bleeding, and raccoon eyes, better sign are the important signs of skull base fracture. And in brief neurological examination, you give few important commands, important questions, simple question: आपका नाम क्या है, आपका नाम क्या है. अगर वो नाम बता देता है, it means the patient airway is intact. आप सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं: आपका नाम क्या है, पेशेंट बता देगा. अगर वो नाम बता रहा है, it means patient airway is intact. Number two,